Peace can never take root in an environment where violence is tolerated, funded, and even rewarded. We must be resolute in condemning such acts in a single, unified voice.
Well, that's President Trump in the wake of the Manchester bombing last week, standing with and directly challenging Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas on the subject of this authority's so-called Martyrs Fund. You know, that fund pays $300 million a year, or about 8% of the authority's budget, to convicted terrorists and the families of other suspects who were killed by Israeli police. The authority says they are intended to provide for Palestinian families and prisoners in the face of what they call Israeli aggression. But critics simply say it rewards terrorism. For instance, payments to the family of the killer of Taylor Force. Taylor was a 28-year-old West Point graduate knifed to death last year as he walked with friends on the boardwalk in Tel Aviv. And officials say money is now being paid to the convicted killer of this young man. He is Massachusetts teenager Ezra Schwartz. Ezra was only 18 years old. He was a Rutgers University student, and he was gunned down as he was riding in a minivan 2 years ago. Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danon, last week called for the UN to take action.
Let's be very clear. Killing innocent people and providing incentive for bloodshed are not resistance. They are plain and simple terrorism. I call on the international community to face the truth for what it is. Demand that Mahmoud Abbas end these terror payments immediately.
Ezra's mother, Ruth Schwartz, now joins us from Boston. First of all, Ms. Schwartz, thank you for coming on tonight. And our condolences and our thoughts to you on the loss of your son. I mean, it's inconceivable. You have to deal with the death of your beloved son, and then you have these payments. What are you calling on? What do you think should happen?
Well, it's been very difficult to deal with Ezra's murder, just in general, figuring out a way to continue life and figuring out a way to help our children get through this, even 18 months later, which feels like a short time and a long time all at the same time. It's still very difficult. And hearing about this issue and payments to the terrorists, and that the terrorist that killed Ezra is receiving over $3,000 a month, it's just disgraceful and very upsetting. And I just felt like I needed to speak out and ask for this to be changed, to be stopped.
You have said that these payments, in your view, glorify and encourage terrorism.
Yes.
How so?
Well, I think that it's a well-known thing among the Palestinians, and it's encouraging their young people to act out and do these terror attacks. And I think that it's well known that they're going to receive payment, and their families will receive reward and payment, that it's encouraging them to be terrorists and to kill innocent people.
Would you ever think that, you know, money from an organization, from, you know, basically kind of a governmental organization, you know, would go to this? I mean, there are critics in the United States, you know, who are citing U.S. payments to the authority. There's a bill in Congress right now that's named after a young man like your son, Taylor Force, who we just mentioned, called the Taylor Force Act, that would cut off, you know, some of this money. There's Taylor Force there. I mean, what do you think should happen? Do you favor that? What would you say, and how would you speak out in terms of potentially dealing with these payments, you know, to those who, like, defend them?
Well, I think that if we are going to give foreign aid to the Palestinian Authority, it needs to be figured out exactly how much money they need to run their budget, and make sure that the money is not given to them to pay terrorists. It just needs to stop.
Here's Danny Danon. He's the UN ambassador, speaking specifically about the payments to the killer of your son. Let's listen.
Ezra's killer, Muhammad Arub, has been sentenced to 4 life prison terms for the murder of 3 and attempt murder of dozens more. Yet, also as we speak, Muhammad Arub receives thousands of dollars a month. This insanity must end.
Thousands of dollars a month. So finally, what is your message to our viewers about that?
My message is that I can't understand how our country can allow this to happen anywhere in this world, that terrorism should be encouraged and glorified, and people that commit these horrendous acts are rewarded and treated like heroes and paid, and their families are paid. It's just so outrageous. So my message is we need to make this stop. We need to figure out a way to just stop this.
Ruth Schwartz, on the cost of terrorism, thank you. Thank you for coming on tonight. And that act is called the Taylor Force Act in Congress right now. Thank you again, and our condolences.
Thank you.